Hey y'all, this is Matt. Guess what I got? Come along with me and see what we're potting up today. Hey, I want you to check out these wonderful looking California Wonder green bell peppers. Check those out. Aren't those beautiful? We started these out in a 72 count flat, and I would like to have potted them up a little earlier than this, but boy, aren't they beautiful. We've got to get these into some individual pots though, so they can go ahead and continue getting bigger and nicer. So come along with me and I'll show you what we do with them. Now, as we've gotten a little bigger and progressed in our growing, we've started using things like 1801 inserts for the standard 1020 flats that we use. But if you're just growing on a small scale, which we are still a small operation, we've taken to putting a lot of our peppers in just using the old plastic cups. Why does it work this way? Well, number one, it's cheap and it's handy. You can pick these up at Walmart or a dollar store or something like that, and drill some holes in the bottom and you'll be just fine. It works out well for our peppers when we have to pot them up from a smaller plug. All right, so we've got everything laid out here. We've got a cup to repot these peppers in, and we've got our peppers. And so just like with the tomatoes, we're gonna just pop them out of here, and you'll see they've really got some good roots going already. So these are real strong pepper plants, but unlike with the tomatoes, their roots are just a little more tender. So we're gonna try to be a little more careful, and I'm gonna take and just gently kind of push those out of there. And unlike with the tomatoes, I don't want to grab the stem and pull him out because those roots will disengage and we don't want that. So we're going to keep squeezing from the bottom for the peppers. And there you go. You got your nice pepper seedling. Going to put a little bit of nice potting soil in the bottom of that cup. Maybe fill it about halfway. Make a little indentation in there, and then set him in there. Not as deep maybe as you would a tomato. You don't want to get it over the top of his bottom leaves for sure. And so then make sure when you're doing this that you take your fingers and tuck around the edges. And we talked about those tender roots, and peppers are a little more shallow rooted than tomatoes are. So you want to be a little more careful. But make sure and tuck down the sides of that cup and not right around the stem so much until you get a good base packed in there really well. And then you can push a little gently around that stem. Then we just get a little more and come in there and get around the bottom of those seed leaves, cotyledons. They're down there, first leaves that come out when that seed sprouts. That you don't necessarily want to cover those up on a pepper, like you might on a tomato. And so there you go. You got this California Wonder bell pepper repotted in a larger pot. And the next thing we'll do is give it a nice drink of water and get it watered in. All right, so I've got a little water can here. We're going to take and water it in nice and deeply and let that settle in. I started with a pretty damp potting soil, so it's already good and damp. But that's our first one. Now we're finished, and like always, we got a lot more to go. And another good thing about the plastic cups is that you can write directly on the side. So we've got this wonderful California Wonder, and I'm gonna wipe the edge of them off there, and I just write Cal Wonder, and then that's good enough for me. And now when customers come and buy this, I will stick a regular tag in there, and something like a white tag, and we'll put it in there to mark it, so when they take it home they'll know exactly what they've got. Well, what do we do when we get a whole bunch of these potted up? One thing about these cups is they can be kind of unstable when they're riding in a tray. So I'll show you what we do to keep them stable in a tray. You've probably heard of a 10-20 tray. This is what it looks like. It has ribbed pattern on the bottom, and is 10 inches wide by 20 inches long, and that's obviously why they call it a 1020. But if you were to put all these cups in here, and we have in the past, I used to use solo cups all the time, and I'd put them in these trays, and then when I'd have to transport them, those things would fall everywhere. I mean, if the wind blew, they would all fall over. So I've tried some different things, and nothing really seems to work as well as using a 1020 tray with some commercially available inserts. And these are 1801 inserts, and they have 18 spots in these cups, and just perfectly. Of course, we use these to grow, to actually sow seeds individually in each of these holes. But when we're potting them up, we don't want to pot them up into that space because it's a little low for tomatoes and peppers and as big as they want to grow. And so we use the inserts that we happen to have around as cup holders for 18 of these cups. Now I'll show you as we fill these up. It works, keeps them stable, and you don't have to worry about them falling over when you're trying to transport them quickly. Now I want to stress as we continue doing this how important it is to make sure that the plants are well hydrated when you start this process. It's always good to make sure that the soil is good and damp. And one thing about it is when you have a dry soil, a lot of times when you start pulling on those plants and trying to pull them out, those roots being dry will break, and that is just not good for the plants and not good for what you're wanting to achieve. So I'm going to set that pepper in there, and since the roots are a little more tender, as I've said, with a tomato I'll be a little more aggressive a lot of times. That with peppers you want to take it a little easier, and make sure you pack around the sides just as we have. Set him up in close and get a good bit of dirt around that stem. All right, well, I think you get the gist now. Let's finish potting them all up and we'll get them in the tray. Oh, and one last thing. When you're potting these up, one good technique to adopt is to always rest your finger kind of on that stem, because when you throw soil in there, sometimes you might knock the plant over and maybe even break that stem. So I always rest my finger right on the stem, right like that, so that you can give it a little support, and make sure as you throw a little extra dirt in there that you don't turn him over. Just a quick tip. Yeah, and I just want to get you a really good close-up of these beautiful plants with these awesome roots. Check out that root system on there. Isn't that nice? It's another reason why you always want to keep your plants well hydrated when you're going to be repotting them, so those roots will be able to hold on together there and stay a little flexible, and they'll come out in a nice plug. All right, well, there they are. We got a tray of them potted up, 18 in those 16-ounce cups, and they'll look a little better in a little bit. We had to come inside, put them inside the grow house because suddenly a windstorm has come up and is blowing all our plants over, but they're looking good. We're gonna pot up the rest of those trays and get them out ready for people to buy here in a few days. All right, well, we're going to get to watering these plants because this hurricane wind is drying everything out. We appreciate you watching, and we hope that you learned something or got a little enjoyment out of it. And if you have, please subscribe to our channel, give this video a like, and please make sure and share it with your friends. Hope you have a good week, and we hope everything grows well for you.